2025 has started and I've started to build like my first apps in 2025, or my first app, I guess. It's more of a personal project, not something that I would release, or not something that I will talk hugely on this channel. It's more like a personal thing that I built for me and my rowing club. But yeah, it's a little thing. And I thought, yeah, let's go and go ahead and build this traditionally, like do it with Svelkid and Lucia and DayzUI, Tailwind, and all of that. And yeah, I started to do this, but at some point I thought, yeah, this is not really fun to implement, so I changed it. Today, I want to talk about the stack or the tech I think I'm settling on or I'm trying to build with this year. And it's super interesting because two things that I have actually kind of sworn off in last year have actually changed. Yeah. So first thing in my stack, of course, is still Svelkid. I will still use Svelkid this year to build apps. Of course, Astro to build websites, but web apps just with Svelkid. Currently, I don't have any plans to switch from Svelkid because it's just so awesome, and I don't see myself using something different than Svelkid because it's just so fun to write. And especially with Svelte 5, it's actually like even more fun to use Svelkid. Second thing that stays in my tech stack is Tailwind CSS. I will still be using Tailwind CSS as I'm using right now. The third thing I'm still gonna use is Drizzle. I already talked about Drizzle ORM a lot of times. I've even made a video series about it, or a little series about it, and I will probably also make a bigger tutorial this year on Drizzle, where, okay, well, not just on Drizzle, but where I will also use Drizzle. That's what I wanted to say. And yeah, I just think, why should I use something different? Prisma is not an option for me, and all of the other things I don't even take into considerations. And yeah, I just like the simplicity of Drizzle. It really blends in well with Svelkid. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna still use. And with Drizzle, or as my database, I will probably still kind of switch between Neon and Terso depending on how complex the project is. So yeah, this is what is not gonna change any time soon. But there are two things that I want to change this year, and one of the two things is Shatsy and Svelte. You probably already heard of Shatsy and UI, and maybe you've even heard of Shatsy and Svelte. Chances are you have, because if you're watching this channel, you're probably more of a SvelteKit guy, and I think you've most probably heard of Shatsy and Svelte. It's basically the port of Hunterbyte, yeah, to make Shatsyan work with SvelteKit, or not make Shatsyan work with SvelteKit. It's more like just completely rewriting or copying it in SvelteKit. It's super awesome. I'm currently on the next.shatsyansvelte.com website because this is actually the Svelte 5 version. I guess you could still use the Svelte 4 version, but I'm already on the Svelte 5 version. Maybe I will try out the sidebar, but I'm not sure yet. But maybe I will do. But yeah, Shatsyan Svelte is definitely one of the things that, or is the first thing where it comes that I will adopt it. I previously would use DayzUI, and I really like what the creator of DayzUI is cooking with the new DayzUI. With DayzUI v5, I think. But I think for the sake of better integration with SvelteKit, I will still use Shatsyan Svelte. And I could theoretically also use Shatsyan Svelte with Astro, which is pretty interesting. I've actually never tried this myself, but I think maybe it's actually worth the try. Yeah, I've actually also made a video about where I said I'm not really on the Shatsyan hype train. Unpopular opinion, I am not really on this Shatsyan hype train. I don't know, you would need something to convince me to switch to Shatsyan. Well, yes, that's kind of true. And I think Shatsyan also like truly lacks a bit of personality in my opinion, because it looks like kind of the same. Like you can customize a theme. You can choose from a few different colors, change the border radius, attention, flashbang in 3, 2, 1. You can also turn it into light mode. Yeah, you can customize it, But if we want to compare it to Daisy UI, like this is just something different. We can change our color palette, we can change our radii, we can click if we want a noise effect or not. We can change the sizes of the field and selectors and border width. Stuff like that is just like very, very cool. And I also had this with Skeleton UI, but in Chatien it's a bit lacking. But I think for the things that I am building, I don't really need it because let's be honest, I guess most applications should be pretty simple and pretty, I guess, understandable for the end user. And I think Chatien just wins out in this process. And also the fact that I can just have a CLI that copies the code right into my code base is very useful. I also didn't think I would be so fast in building UIs with Chatien because I can literally just copy over some stuff. Like the main reason why I even chose Chatien's Vault for my personal project was because of this thing right here, date picker. Let's go back to the Daisy UI v5 beta, and we should in components. We actually have a calendar, but first of all, I don't know. It does not look really cool, and the customization is not really big. And second of all, you have to install these third-party packages. And I've tried the PKD Svelte, and I've also tried Kali. Both didn't work because of diverse errors. Maybe it's just a skill issue from my side, but most of them didn't work. I don't know. I was really desperate for a calendar, so I even tried building myself. And let me tell you, it was not fun. It was really not fun. So I just went straight ahead into this one. I gotta be honest, making it work in a form was kind of more difficult than in here because I actually wanted to import a component into a form, not make the form a single component. And making a date range in a form was even more painful than that. So kind of a pain, but at the same time, once I did it, I now know how it goes and it's actually not that difficult. And the second thing is better auth. I've already talked about better auth in the context of Lucia being gone, like the library Lucia being gone. I've made 2 videos on auth at that time. I made one where I talked about better auth, as you're seeing here right now. And I was like, dude, this is really cool. You should go ahead and try this. And I made one video with the title, I was wrong about auth. And I said, well, actually not even like really looked at the documentation of the new Lucia. And I was becoming a great fan of it. So for the next few projects, or for, I guess, one little project for the YouTube dashboard project, I still use Lucia. But when I wanted to go ahead and do Google Auth, Google OAuth, and do some more complex things with auth, it quickly became more and more painful to set up Lucia. And so I went back and tried better auth. And the developer experience with better auth was pretty cool. I mean, I can go ahead and import the project into my on my Mac because yeah, I code on my MacBook, not on my Mac on here. And let's go to auth. This is our auth file, and this is our main auth file, and this is our client. And I'm gonna briefly explain what better auth is because I think in my other video I didn't even like explain much. So this is a more comprehensive like explanation of what that is. So basically you just initialize your auth object in here and you give it a bunch of config like database, and I give it the drizzle adapter, then I give it the my actual database, and I need to specify the provider. But you can specify your social providers, and I've chosen Google and given it my Google client IDs and secrets from my env file. Pretty straightforward. But the one thing that really bugged me when I was setting this up, and that got way easier with the new Lucia, was having the database. And it's at this point where I'm like even considering, where I really thought about it, and with this trade-off of either having writing your own adapter, like with Lucia, but having to manage everything yourself. In contrary of using an existing adapter, but also using the schema of BetterAuth, for example, and then specifying these additional fields. And that also means that in our DB and in our schema, where do we have our user? These need to be the exact name because otherwise the application will fail. And that's a little bit of a shame, but I can work around it, and it's actually, the setup has been super fun. So let's quickly distinguish between these two. This is our auth object, and this is our auth client object. And the difference is that the auth client, we can use this on the client, and the auth object we can just use on the server. The setup was very clean with BetterAuth and Shazia and Svelte, and that's why I've chosen them for building my projects in 2025. I just think they remove a bit of complexity from my projects that I recently have, and they remove also a little bit of load. Not in the case of Shazia, but definitely in the case of BetterAuth. And Shazia I just chose because it's super like compatible and like very useful for Svelte, and it also looks good, and I don't really have to style much of my own. Of course, I still need to do flexbox and typography and all of these things, but it just takes away so much work, and it makes me more productive as a developer. If you want another video on BetterAuth where I just explain everything about BetterAuth, or like just more, and I like show you how to set up BetterAuth. If you'd like to see that, go ahead and leave a comment. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out any future videos. And you can also give this video a like, of course, if you liked it. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.